All right, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to another amazing experience of the Liberation Academy 2.0, where today we will be discussing the beautiful history of black arts, specifically during how can I say, traveling from West and Central Africa, transatlantic slave trade, slavery, and stopping right at the Reconstruction era. Okay? So it's different parts to this Sankofa Black Arts um, online class. And so we're only dealing with this section of it. Give me a thumbs up emoji if everyone understands the vibes for tonight. Yeah, 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 yeah. So before we begin, I first want to just give Bongo the opportunity to talk about a very, very, very exciting opportunity for our intensive folks out here. So, intensive folks, please pay attention.
Hello, everybody. Hi, everybody. All of y'all on this Zoom call, the intensive member, the community members, the people who care for each other, the people who are here, who are not here. So, we have this opportunity for all the intensive members. Even if you're not intensive member and you would love to be part of this, so you all know about the Cuba to Guinea project that we are having a presentation on the 14th next week. So I feel like I was telling Kara, I'm like, I think this is a great opportunity for our intensive members to really, be part of this by volunteering for the backstage with help, anything. It will be a great experience for you too, and a learning and just like, like planning also, basically being around of us, putting this show together, you will learn a lot. You will watch a lot of things that's going on. You will know what you should do doing your own show, what you shouldn't do in the backstage, what's the vibes in the backstage, what are the vibes of the costume, and all the little detail that you really need as a performer to really have. So this is a great opportunity. So I feel like, we wanted to ask you guys to donate your time. It's not an obligation. It's not something that you have to do because you don't have a choice. No, you have a choice. You can either do it or don't do it. But I'm gonna tell you, this is something that will be very grateful, to know as a performer. How to deal with the crew in the back, costumes and everything. All these details are very important. Being an artist, a performer. All right. So this is an opportunity for you. Think about it and let us know if you really want to be part of this. Okay? That's the bomb news.
Thank you, Bongo, for giving us the bomb news on Liberation Academy 2.0 NPR Radio. Thank you, Bongo. So, for
You are
our
welcome.
intensive members, here's an opportunity for you to flesh out everything that we have been discussing and practicing on in real time through helping out Bongo and Joti and Dunia Drum and Dance, their presentation of Cuba to Guinea. So you have Dance Mission Theater in the chat. There's a link that you can click on and just make sure that you send a direct message to either me and Sayla, my daughter, Sarah, and yeah, we'll go from there. Welcome everyone who are not intensive members. Thank you for showing up to Black Arts in America, Sankofa, and we're gonna start off with a meditation. We're gonna bring it down because it's 5:14. We've had a long day. It's a Tuesday, so I want everyone to find a place. It doesn't have to be seating in a chair. It could be sitting on the floor. It can honestly be laying down. You have the freedom to find a space in 10 seconds, wherever you need to be, and just relax and close your eyes. Close your eyes. And right now, I would like for you to reflect on all things that are pure to you, that feel good to you. Visualize these things that bring you peace, things that make you feel content, things that make you say to yourself, I am okay right now in this world, being me. Inhale, exhale it out. And so we're going to inhale and exhale it out again. But when you exhale it out, I want you to release all things that you want to leave behind. Let's inhale first. And when you exhale it out, visualize everything you want to leave behind and exhale it out right now. And leave it, leave it, leave it, leave it, leave it. Place your palms on your heart. Keeping your eyes closed, place your palms on your heart. Inhale. Bring in everything from the outside that you want to keep in, and then exhale. Leave out everything that you want to leave out of yourself from this day. And we're only talking about today, not yesterday and not tomorrow, just today, right now. And I want you to massage your heart. Massage it. Tell yourself it's okay. Whatever happened today that you may not feel good about, it's okay. It's okay. Whatever happened today that made you so much better than yesterday, ooh, that's okay as well. In both circumstances, massage your heart because this is the source. This is the source. And inhale. As you exhale it out, gently place your arms where you choose. If it's on your thighs, if it's on your knees, if it's on your head, place your hands where you choose. And in that area, begin massaging that area. Inhale, exhale it out. Inhale, exhale it out. And now place your palms on your thighs. Open your eyes. Look at the boxes in front of you. Hello, everyone. And then I see black boxes. And I want you guys to just say one word that comes to your spirit right now. And you guys can all unmute yourselves. And I just want it to be voices in the atmosphere. I'm not going to go one by one. So just at one time, just say whatever word comes to mind and put it out in the virtual atmosphere. And go.
Gratitude.
Grateful, sunshine, grace,
Traffic.
Focus.
love.
Keep going.
Love, love,
Creativity,
Yes, yes, yes,
community,
yes,
healing,
yes. My word
process.
is remembrance, remembrance. Because tonight is all about honoring our ancestors and making sure that the information that we share to each other, though it may at times be painful, we can't sanitize. That's I love my teachers when we can't sanitize history. Meaning, we can't make it comfortable for us because it takes away how much people did to get us to where we are today. We have to share everything the way that it is so that once we are receiving such information, we can be able to just lift up and be like, ah, in 2023, I can't not honor these folks if they went through all of that. You feel me? So we're going to start from the beginning. The beginning, the beginning, the beginning. Knowing the past to be able to understand the present. I'm really, 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 really big on this because when I started, even though I didn't finish, and maybe I'll finish one day, when I started the PhD program, the first class that we took was solely upon us doing the research to find out if our dissertation title had already been done before. And so you come into this PhD program because PhD is one of my homies would say was about creating new knowledge. The whole point of it is to create original whatever original work on an academic level. So of course your first course is about okay, now you have access to all of these different libraries that you possibly didn't have access to before. Now you go up in these libraries and see if someone didn't write your same dissertation in 1973 or 1963 or 1980 or 2001. Check it out. And so here are a bunch of new students that's thinking like, oh yeah, what I'm doing is original. What I'm doing has never been done before. And we all at the same time quickly realized, nope, that's not the case. And so I kept finding dissertations and articles written by so many amazing scholars is talking about the same topic that I thought was so original. And so that's Sankofa vibe. Sankofa is one of the Adinkra symbols from the Ashanti people in Ghana. And it's a bird that's basically looking backwards. And it's basically saying, if you don't look to the past, you're not going to know who you are today. If you don't, as they say in PhD programs, if you don't go in these libraries and see if what you think is so original has not already been done before, you're gonna sit there butthurt because you realize, no, Kara, it has been done before. So, with creating original work, with fleshing out and being creative and evolving, that means that those particular artists have already studied the past. They know that what they're doing is original because they did the work to study what has already been done before. Give me two snaps if you feel me, what I'm saying. I'm seeing boxes. So, knowing the past to be able to understand the present. When we talk about the United States, when we're talking about the original colonies, I always want to share, especially to African Americans who have for a long, long, long time have felt that they're lost or because they can't specifically outside of ancestry.com or africanancestry.com just state like this is the ethnic group or this is the African country that I come from, like there's some certain type of lostness, and that is a lie. Okay? So I want you to know, either as African Americans or people from the African diaspora, that there is a lot of specificity. So a lot of you guys who were in the intensive with the DIA, you already got a lot of information about South Carolina and its importance to black people coming in the original colonies, which are the 13 original colonies before it became the United States of America. So the majority ethnic group that arrived to Charleston was the Mande ethnic group. That is a fact. Okay? And so a lot of people you may hear with African ancestry, not African ancestry, actually the ancestry.com, where they're telling people you come from countries, which is confusing to me because countries didn't come until 1860. But they may say, ooh, you come from the Mende people of Sierra Leone. Mende is under Mande. So
Uh,
basically, the bongo is over here getting hyped because all of the people in West Day are like, thank you, Kara. Thank you for sharing this information. Okay, so just so you know, if you hear Mende, Mande, Mandingo, Mandinka, Manding, Malinke, all of it is the same family. It's the same family. So in Senegal, you may hear I'm Mandingo. In Guinea, most of the time, you may hear I'm Malinke or I represent Manding. You may hear different versions, but just know that it's not separated by countries. Countries come way later. We're now looking at the Mali Empire. This is where all of it is. Basically, this is your start. So I want everyone to reflect on that, look at the map. One of the largest empires in West African history, and at its height, it spanned from the Atlantic coast to central parts of the Sahara Desert. The empire was founded in 1235 AD by the legendary Lion King, or Lion of Mali, Sundiata Keita. Okay, so that whole Lion King story that you share with your kids and that we watched as kids is actually a true story. He was a real man. His name was Sunjata Keita. Okay, so a lot of people ask me, okay, how does that? What's the situation with Lion and Sunjata Keita? Okay, so under Manding culture, your last name represents an animal. So whenever you see Keita, Keita, you automatically know that they're Manding, that's their ethnic group, and you automatically know that their animal is a lion. So if you see someone to this day, you could be out at a restaurant, they say, my name is um, Abu Keita. You be like, oh, you're Manding. It be like, oh, that's what's up. How you know? It be like, yeah. And you're of royal lineage. Your family's the lion, from the lion. They be like, oh, where did you learn this from? So these people to this day know that connection all the way back to 1200s. Okay? So just like the Disney story, Sunjata, his mom would. Okay, I'll do the ratchet version. So Sunjata's father was the king of a smaller version of the area, probably like around this size. So he had his wives, and one of his wives had the son Sunjata. So, like in the Disney story, the Scar killed his father, took over as king, ravaged the whole kingdom. And so Sunjata's mom was like, we out. We got to go. Because if we stay, he's going to kill us too. So the mom and Sunjata went far, 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 far away. He grew up, became a teenager. Someone saw him at a market and was like, Sunjata, is that you? We thought that you was dead. And they were like, you need to come back and reclaim your place as the king of the Mali Empire. And then he was like, no, 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 that's, but personal reasons forced him to be like, maybe I should. He got his army. And if you Google Sunjata Keita right now, you will see paintings of a man on a horse reeled back with the army. And that's the famous picture of him going back to reclaim his place as the king. So that is why he is the Lion King of the Mali Empire. Okay? So this is actual facts that I want you guys to spread to your cousins, nephews, nieces, mom, dad, granddad. This is specificity. So here, isn't it interesting that the first Africans would arrive around the 1500s to Charleston, South Carolina? So I don't want you to think ever again that there wasn't richness, wealth, culture from different ethnic groups. There was a Mande Federation. That's why the empire was so big, because so many ethnic groups banded together under Manding. Because Sunjata had each ethnic group have their own governor. And he said you could govern yourselves, but always come back to the center, which is Manding. Yes, Beatrice.
Kara,
Yes.
and what about the Ashanti Empire? Is it the same one or is it located
Oh,
another?
totally. The Ashanti Empire. This is more up, and that was a before the Mali Empire. So
Okay,
the
got it.
same way that we learn about Roman Empire, Persian Empire, Greek Empire, it's the same thing that's going on in the continent of Africa. So just on the west, you may hear about the Benin Yoruba Empire. You may
The,
hear about the Ashanti Akan
the
Empire
Shushu
up
Empire.
here.
The
Yes,
Shushu.
and then this Mali Empire is one of the most respected because it was the largest empire in West Africa. But there were many different empires, the same way that it was in Europe. Yes,
And Mali was after Ashanti. The Mali
Mali,
Empire
yes.
was after the
Bongo, correct me
Ashanti.
if I'm wrong.
So the Mali was after Shushu Empire, which was the Ghana Empire.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Understand?
So
Yeah.
yes,
The
that was
Sosobala,
correct. Yeah.
Sumanguru Kante. Yeah.
Yes. So I don't want us to, in our head, make it like it's so far apart, because it's not. So you had different rulers. You had different rulers. Sunjata was one of the rulers. A person named Mansa Musa Keita, which was Sunjata's nephew, he was one of the rulers. You're talking about 1300s to 1400s. He's all over Instagram because people are now figuring out that even if he was alive today, he would be one of the richest people on earth.
They
That's how
still.
much money he had back in
They
the
still.
1300s. So a lot of historians connect Mansa Musa's travels, because he would travel to Arabia. He would travel all over the earth and literally showcase his riches. And that's what made a lot of people say, what's going on in West Africa that we're missing? A lot of people was like, hold up, we are struggling with resources, and this guy is just popping up at different places just saying, you get gold. And what
They
you need?
go.
You need salt? Trust me, I got plenty. What you need? And they're like, are we missing what's going on in West Africa? So get the connection. So now the first group that would arrive off of curiosity were the Portuguese. So the Portuguese is coming, they hit this area, which would be Yoruba land, and they start sending a lot of people to Brazil. And so
First,
that's why.
they came first as an explorer. Explorer, like we come to this cool region. And then they set themselves as a missionary. And I turned into something else. Convert people, the religion started traveling there. And then,
Exactly.
soon you know, people are being transported.
What year was that?
So this
Uh,
is, we're talking about the end of the 1400s. Probably like around, let's say the mid 1400s, start mid 1400s. So that's why today Brazil is 50% Afro descent. They have
Okay.
the most. They have over
Questions?
3 million Africans that were shipped to Brazil alone. So Brazil as a country, they have more black people than some African countries today. Yeah.
Ask a question real quick.
Yes, Leandra.
How is it related to the end of the Moorish Empire in Portugal and Spain? Because the same year that they had the last defeat in Grenada was the very next year is when Queen Isabella and the Pope, the Pope deemed African slavery legal, and Queen Isabella sent Columbus to go sail the ocean blue.
That part I want you to, because that's a great question. And while I continue talking and just giving you like ticker tape flash dates, you would be able to make the connection to see automatically, like, oh, this is all happening at the same time. And so I want you to answer that question for yourself over time because I know that you'll be able to do it. But once I just give you certain dates, you're going to be like, oh crap, I was compartmentalizing all of these as isolated, separate events when I wasn't supposed to be doing that. And so let me just keep talking a little bit. But great question. You're going to get that answer. So here we are. Now the transatlantic slave trade is beginning because of this, what is going on in West Africa, what's happening that we're missing, because apparently we've been missing out on a lot of things. I want you to also understand another thing because this ties into art. We're going to get into art. The Mohammedan period of West Africa already happened, meaning the conversion of Islam. So, majority of this whole side are mostly Muslim. So, pray 5 times a day, speak and write Arabic. All of that has happened. They call that in religious studies the Mohammedan period. So, I want you to understand that by the time this happens, if you weren't already converted, you were still within your own religious structure, culture, language. There is a structure to you as an African. There is not anything where it's like, oh, we're just out here just partying. We don't know how to write anything down. We don't know how to do anything. No, 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 no. That's a lie. That's a lie. So, since we're talking about the Americas, I just want you to look at this map so that you can understand when you see millions and hundreds of thousands. Now you understand, like, oh, Central America, Latin America, and the Caribbeans, that's 30 to
Yep.
50% Afro descendants.
Yep.
But in the United States, where we're about to go, we're only about 15% of the population as black people. So, Central America, South America, and the Caribbeans have more black people in their countries than the United States.
Yep.
Okay? So, I just want you guys to know these facts just right off the bat. So, now, remember I said that the majority ethnic group that came to the United States were what? Mande ethnic group. So now let's deal with what came with those Africans. So, this popular instrument that everyone knows all over the world, called the djembe, was only an instrument created for who? The Lion King. That's how old this instrument is.
19.
The djembe is known all over the world, but it is specifically only a Mande instrument, no other ethnic group. And it was created during the Malian Empire in honor of the Lion King Sunjata Keita. So, isn't it beautiful that something that was created in the 1200s is still being played in 2023 all over this world? So, I want you to take 5 seconds to just think about that, the power of art. I didn't say this instrument was created in 1920. I didn't say this instrument was created in 18 something. I said this instrument was created for the Lion King in 1230, in the 1230s, because he reclaimed it 1235 and they created it in honor of him. So this instrument is played in 2023 all over this world. So never, ever belittle your art. Never belittle the power of art, because this is what you see in real time. You cannot go anywhere without seeing a replica or someone playing it or wearing it or a little kid carrying it like it's a backpack. This instrument is everywhere, but it only started in one location all the way back then. Okay? So, with the transatlantic slave trade, interestingly enough, Adia was talking about South Carolina, South Carolina, South Carolina. And with South Carolina, which was one of the main ports to the original 13 colonies, the plantation owners were very particular about which Africans they wanted to work on their plantations. And interestingly enough, they wanted a lot of initiated jelly or griots. Griot in French, oral historian, but the name for that cast of orators, poets, dancers, singers, musicians are called jelly. DJELI. So I thought when I was younger that, oh, they just randomly grabbed people, put them on a ship, and it was like, oh, let's just get, a couple instruments. Da, da, da. No. What I would later discover was that they were very specific about getting initiated drummers, djembe folas, tama folas, people who played in ngoni, which is like the guitar, people who played certain melodic instruments, and they had to know how to play. And it was for two reasons. First reason, sad to say, they wanted the drummers to be able to make people feel like they didn't leave home since they were going to be on the ship. So if you didn't know how to play drums, your own people could be able to tell that you were a novice and not a professional. So they needed people who they knew in their community were the percussionists. So that while they're on the ship going to this new land, they needed people to psychologically feel like they never left because of the music. And the second reason was when they needed people to play for entertainment once they came, they did not want to teach music. They wanted them to just transpose to a different instrument. So if you played in West Africa an instrument that was a bow on strings, then I can give you a violin to play. And I'll teach you these notes because you already have the same notes in West Africa. Maybe you tuned it differently. This is the sound that we want to hear in this Euro classical world, but you're still a trained musician. Isn't that interesting? So they were very specific. One of the traumas that still is carried in West Africa to this day because they were very specific is before musicians would play would feel safe enough to play far away from where they live, from their compound. But today, even in West Africa, your ceremonies, your events are played close to that family's compound, not far away,
Oh,
because they would grab you up. So that is the traumas. Everyone focuses on different traumas that occur in a new land. That's a trauma that is still present within West African culture there. Your baby naming ceremonies, anything that requires you hiring Jelly to perform singing, playing instruments, all of that happens close to your family compound. It's not going to happen far away from the family that is hosting that particular event. Before that, it wasn't the case. They would be, if you ushered in a mask that's coming from the forest, you would be far away in the forest because you felt safe to go out in the forest, to go far away. Not today. Everyone got it? Do you have any questions? Ask me. It's a lot of information.
Sarah,
Yes.
you need to tell them the meaning of jelly too. What it
Yes,
is.
I am Bongo.
You got this.
I am Bongo. And thank you, Bongo, for your help. So I'm trying to see. Do you have any? Please raise your hand if you have any questions. All right. So,
I have a question.
yes.
Like confirmation too. I had learned that the slaves, like the people that they enslaved to go to the Carolinas specifically, they were also picked because they had a lot of knowledge of like how to grow rice, and the climates were similar too.
Yes.
Yeah, but
Yep.
and they were still from the Mande tribe.
Yes, it's either Monday or their subgroups, or the specifically in South Carolina they really wanted people from the Senegambia region. What is the present day Senegambia region? So Monday, Fulani, Wolof, Bambara, what those ethnic groups are today, but majority Monday. Yes, Antoinette.
Quick question. So that region of Mali, was that considered like the Gold Coast? Because I know parts of Ghana was called that. Or was that also part of the Gold Coast?
All of this area, all of this area that goes down to what is, because I can't move my boxes around, what goes down to um, Congo, they
Uh-huh.
called it the Gold Coast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's where the central, because you have Angola down there, you have Congo down there, that whole coast, because they didn't go deep inside the continent. It's just all of this. But before, as I said, it was empires, not countries. Yes. Whose hand is raised? No hand was raised. Okay,
They, they
cool.
were they
Oh,
were
Leandra.
Sarah,
Okay.
I'm gonna add this to it. Oh, sorry. Somebody's there.
I
Hello?
just wanted again, as you're talking, I'm questioning that connection with the Moorish rule because I know that during that time, a lot of the instruments that were created, like the violin and the lute, were roots in Africa. So it's kind of like they're really just transferring to their own creation, their ancestral creation. I'm trying to think the right words, but I'm seeing this connection.
Yep, yep. You're gonna see more and more connection as I continue to go. Yes. So I want you to get Jelly. So now Jelly and
Sarah,
Malinke. Yes, Bongo.
Sarah, before I wanna add something to that.
Yes, speak. Bongo. Okay, Bongo. You went out for a little bit. So I'm gonna come back to you, Bongo, because you stopped for 2 seconds. So Jelly, DJELI. Caste is a caste system under Manding. Once again, we're talking about the United States. So Mande culture, it literally means blood. So Kara, what does that mean? That means within their culture, The same way that we need as humans blood to survive, they believe that you need art to survive. There is no separation of art and society. They do not understand compartmentalizing art, artists. No, 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 no. You would be trying to force an elephant in an envelope. That's how, if you try to break down westernized thinking, like artists over here, scientists over here, mathematicians over there, like, hold up, what? No, art is like blood. If you take art out of society, society is dead. Point blank. There is no way that you're going to be able to convince them otherwise. So that is the worldview of the Africans that are arriving to Charleston, South Carolina. So get this picture. Their worldview is that there is no separation from artistically what's happening in society because it's one and the same. Second, majority of them are already Muslim. Already. So they know how to read and write in Arabic. They pray 5 times a day. They hear Amin, 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 Amin over and over and over again. So it's not going to be perplexing for them to look at a white counterpart and them saying Amen, and they're already knowing Amin. It's an Abrahamic religion.
I mean.
So it's not a lostness in any type of way. So check this out so you can, even with country vernacular. So people always want me to give them, like, give us some country slang so how we can, I want to talk like. So number one, a lot of people think that massa is an incorrect way black people said master. No. Massa comes from Mansa. So remember how I said Sunjata's nephew was Mansa Musa Keita? Mansa in Malinke means king or boss. Mansa. So if I'm an African that's looking at a white man and looking at, okay, he has a house, he has this land, he has property. Oh, you Mansa Johnson. You Mansa Smith. So now the ah sound after generation, 2 generations, it's in English, we don't do ah, it's ah. So now you're just changing over generation, Mansa, Massa, Massa. I'm recognizing you as the king over or the boss over this land. You Mansa Mac, Mansa Lawrence. So it's a direct connection. That's just one example of a direct connection between Malinke, Mande language, and recognizing what's going on. Because I already see within the structure that I just came from, oh, I see what's up. Everyone got it? So the worldview is that art and life, there is no separation. Number two, religiously, we already have a structure, and a lot of them would write for their plantation owners because they already knew how to write. And most plantation owners didn't even know how to write in English. So this is the reality of what was happening. Before 1619 in Virginia, this was what was already happening in South Carolina. So the instruments that arrive with them, because they're already jelly, now you have the reason why djembe was the instrument that landed in the United States. Now you understand why tama, like talking drums, ngonis. Now you see. So just to show you Oh, I'm gonna have, before I show you anything, I'm gonna stop share. And I want you, we're gonna go into some YouTube clips after we do these breakout rooms. I want you guys to now just flesh out amongst each other, like, girl, what did I just hear? What is going on? I want you to share your thoughts about what do you feel right now knowing that information, not the imagery of just out here in these streets lost. No, not the imagery of like, oh my gosh, what is this? Is this an ink and pen? Is this thing called a book? When you now already are aware that they were reading the Quran, all of this stuff is already going on in West Africa. There is no like, what is this? Is this a book? What is this instrument? What ding, 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 ding? Is this a string? No, they already had string instruments. They already had bowed instruments. So now it's taking this information. I'm going to do my best to create breakout rooms that y'all will go into right now. Have fun, discuss, and how interesting is this? This is one of the instruments that came with the Africans. So now that you hear that, I want you to peep now what transposing to a different instrument but keeping the same flavor looks like. So let me know your thoughts. I'm going to just put out two things. Percussively, how the West African is playing a melodic instrument, and now the same flavor that's applied to now a guitar or a banjo that's in a Southern black's hand. Let me know what similarities you see or you saw just now from the first original West African instrument now going to a banjo.
Definitely the strings. I don't know what you call that. Do you call that like the chords? I can hear the dun 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 dun. That part I heard very similar style in the music.
Yes, any more volunteers of information?
My dad was a blues musician, and I listened a lot to the blues growing up. But when I hear I mean, there really isn't much difference except maybe the tone and the mood to me. So when you say art is life, Like there's no separation. You're really the music is expressing really what's the mood, the energy of what's going on in everyday life. So I would say that's what is more most apparent to me in the difference, but yet they're so similar.
So I want you to get, once again, I keep repeating, the theme of this should be called There is No Lostness. There is very much a specificity going on. So there is nothing but specificity. So when you're talking about, I skipped a little bit ahead in terms of time so that you could be able to hear audibly, like, okay, I know the djembe. Yes, that's a popular instrument, but a lot of people don't know about those melodic instruments that came along just like the djembe came along. And so, with that, now you have in the United States, which is different from the rest of the African diaspora in Central America, South America, and the Caribbean.
And I have a comment. Looking, this is how when you say they are and the life what together, it's like in the essence, nothing disappeared, just has been transforming and adapting into the new communities and geographies and space. And this connect me with some traditional rhythm from Venezuela that is joropo that you play with the harp, and it's the same. Yeah, for me, was it's the same thing.
And Colombia, which is like right there. It's like the front, like where the two countries meet. Música llanera,
yeah.
like beautiful.
No, that's why I want you guys to, within the African diaspora, you feel that it's like, oh my gosh, this was all happening at the same time. And so, even though we speak different languages and we pledge our allegiance to different countries today, what needs to be brought up more often, especially in this era of a lot of groups just being divided by different rhetoric and things that are just created to keep us is as much as possible more and more divided, is bringing up all of the similarities. And basically what was going on is you have a group of people through an ethnic group, you're now going to different new geographic locations, but whatever was in you is still being transposed to whatever the new instrument that's given to you. Or not, and or you're creating new percussion instruments now at your new geographic locations. So the dances are now based off of whatever that new musical genre that you created off of. Your bombas, your all of your different styles are now based off of what came first? The creation of whatever the new drum is. That is now in Brazil, that is now in Venezuela, that is now in Colombia, that's now in all of these areas. Because now, with dealing with the United States, a lot of the diaspora doesn't know that what was different is that they made playing percussion illegal. So in 1740, starting in the state of South Carolina, they banned percussion because they noticed that percussion was bringing people together. Percussion was allowing people to continue to send signals and secret messages that they could not decipher. And they had to stop it. So, yes, it was illegal in the United States to play drums, starting with the state of South Carolina in 1740, and then other states began to follow. So, because we have people here that are either first generation or directly from other countries in the African diaspora, I always make sure all of my friends know the difference between the systematic racism that occurred. So, one of the differences that I want to bring up is when you're talking about the Caribbean, South America, Central America, Their version of racism was mostly like, I want you to not pay attention to your blackness. I want your identity to be your country. So, no, you are not black, you're Colombian. You're not black, you're Venezuelan. You're not black, you're Cuban. Yo soy cubano. Na negra. My identity is my allegiance to my country. So all of my Panamanian friends, all we have these deep 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 6 a.m. conversations about the difference between what they were going through in terms of the message that was sent to their parents and their grandparents and the message that was sent to us. So the difference with the United States is they never wanted us to be associated with the country. They never wanted anybody of Afro descent to say that they were American. They went through every name on the census to get us away from our association with the country. It was only until the 80s that it became African American. But it was every other name. You're colored, Negro. Even with my ancestry, with my great grandma, you got Native American and you black, you mulatto, you're mixed, whatever. But you're not gonna have on your census that you're American, which is unlike Latin America and the Caribbean. No, you're Jamaican. No, you're Puerto Rican. So when we have this, like, it'll be a friend of mine that's like, I have a black mother and a Puerto Rican dad, and they both look black. And I'm like, hold up, what? Cause it's like from the Caribbean side, no, my identity is my country. And if you're from America, my identity is just to say black. You see? So it's like
Yeah,
two systems happening at the same time. So we have to be able to communicate and know and empathize on both sides how we were talked to, how our parents were talked to.
yeah.
Um,
I just wanna
yes,
say,
Juliana.
Cara, this is really interesting because for me, as a Venezuelan, I never had a people call me mi negrita, and that never was a problem to if it's someone call you black because the racism no was a problem as a social culture because all was a combination of the native with the African and the Spanish, and then we become Venezuela. So we already have all that. Yeah, culture inside of us, and for me was a really surprise when I arrived to US and for the first time my color was something
Yeah,
relevant.
it's a term of
Relevant.
endearment. It's a term of endearment when you call someone negrita or negra, ven acá, gordito. It was like, and then it was like, you can't say that. I'm like, what?
No,
Why?
it's the same.
I don't understand.
Brasileiras, I'm around Brasileiras, and you can have somebody like, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
negrito. And I had a situation where another African American lady, she did not understand, and I had to. That's why I'm steeped in this because I'm not. This isn't like for a Zoom. This is a lived situation for 20 plus years for me. I've been having these conversations for many, many hours with many, many different people in the African diaspora. And I've had to teach a lot of people like you have to be able to look on both sides on what all of us in the African diaspora, what we have all experienced. And with the US, it was a very, very direct and harsh situation because technically we were the last mass drop off. This system had already been going on in South America for a very, very long time. It had already been going on in Central America for a very, very long time. Once it arrived to South Carolina, to Charleston, as a mass situation, they're like, no, we have to take everything away from these Africans We have to make sure that they're in front of us at all times for these Africans, because this is what we've studied in South America. This is what we've studied. If we allowed them to still keep their languages and still keep all of this, this is not going to work out good for our system of greed. So we're going to have to create federal laws to stop art from happening the way that they're used to, if you get what I'm saying. Two snaps. That's a very direct. So once you have Caribbean people, once you have people from the Latin diaspora coming to the United States, and they're hit with different things that subconsciously they didn't grow up on, you're now dealing with not just you directly, you're dealing with, I am the sixth generation South Carolinian. That's six generations that had to deal with that. So that's what you're getting hit with. It's like, hold up, how is all of this separated? And that's what us as African Americans, now as African Americans, you now have to do this and say respect. So the people that had to deal with that type of of opposition and still fight through to get art alive and prevalent and thriving through resilience in the United States, that's a big deal. You get what I'm saying? So in 2023, we have to wear that as a badge of honor, that I can't slight myself, because now that I know what they had to fight, because it was so intentional, so intentional. Like, I'm not gonna allow you to express yourself the way that you're used to expressing yourself. I'm not. It's going to be literally illegal for you to think art and society is not separate. I'm gonna make you think that it is. That's an intentional fight. Yes, Antoinette.
Oh, I just slight question slash comment. I've been having this conversation with folks. So regarding in South Carolina, that was under the British rule, correct? That was British and American rule.
Yes.
Okay, okay, okay. Just want to clarify. 'Cause I know growing up in New Orleans, I've been asked. I was talking to people, and I was always wondering. I said, "Well, I don't know how we gathered at Congo Square, but they had laws too." And people would tell me that were French, was the ones who colonized after they took the land from Native people, and they had a different set of rules. The French and Spaniards had a different set of rules for the enslaved people to gather. And because they allowed them to gather, that's how they kept so much their culture. Because for a long time, I couldn't understand, like, okay, why we have these things but the rest of the country doesn't. But because of the Europeans that colonized them made that decision, basically.
Exactly. And so with that, with the French having that little small land out of, think the original 13 colonies, that's mostly the British. The French, once they got it together in their head, where it's like, okay, this is our territory, this, everybody was basically up for grabs. So the French was like, I got my little area, and we're gonna keep our little area in this Louisiana territory, and we're gonna still, like, regardless of how many states the British owned, going from Maine all the way down to, we're gonna keep this little area. That's why when the French said, you know what, y'all are enslaved, but this Congo Square area is an area where you can be able to express yourself, that area literally became a place for other people from other states to come. So now that's where you have a legitimate mashup. And the beginning of jazz is basically a mashup. They called it jungle music. They called it jungle music because they didn't understand the timing, they didn't understand the conversation within the polyrhythm, and it was literally a mashup of different West African and Central African ethnic groups, polyrhythmic percussion vibes coming together. And that's why jazz basically became so innovative, because it was so many different ethnic groups and their styles of rhythm coming together in one location. And that's the beginning of jazz.
Plus, you have the Mississippi River. the Delta of Mississippi, where a lot of the blues came from, and you had a lot of things going up and down that river, not just goods, but culture, language, so much. So I wanted to add that piece too.
Exactly. So it was due to pockets of geographic locations where someone allowed for Africans to create that allowed their resilience to still continue to thrive. And so you had pockets of that in Congo Square, which was the beginning of jazz, and then you had, now that the drum is illegal, resilience came through what? Body percussion. Came through what? Tap dancing. Came through Juba, what Adia was talking about. So now all of these different dance vernaculars are coming out of an intentional fight to end art. Why? Because people were noticing that art is a part of their worldview and their life. That's how they communicate. That's how they translated messages. And they intentionally did not want the system to know about. So, isn't it interesting? Jelly is blood. So they went to cut the blood supply out to kill the society.
That's petty.
The way that I kill the society is what? You lose blood. So to a West African, Monday, mostly, you take my blood, you take my life. You take my art, you take my life. So now with these times, I want to lift up particular ancestors, coming to the end of this, particular ancestors that in the midst of you saying, but it's just me. I'm just one person. I'm just one vessel. What, and I only have this singular, or what I think is just a singular idea. What am I going to do? How can I be able to change anything out here in these streets? All right, let's lift up some of our ancestors. And this, once again, is just some. You can Google Reconstruction era. Oh, I forgot to say, this is before we lift up our ancestors. Reconstruction era. So whenever you hear someone say Reconstruction era, this is basically the era that happened after the Civil War. So raise your hand if you know about the Civil War. Please tell me that you know about the Civil War. So basically, the Civil War was the South against the North. The system of slavery is making a lot of money for the South. A huge, huge, huge amount of money. It's making a huge amount of money for the entire 13 colonies. But majority of the money is for the South. And so the North, basically, not out of a sense of, ooh, we love black people. No. It was out of a sense of, we're going more industry. It's a new, how can I say, a new age of thinking in this, in the old age, in the old era, is using human bodies in that type of way, and we are more getting more bourgeois and more of our thinking, the machine, the industry, not saying that they had some love for black people and saving their lives. No. It's just that the North was like, we are moving forward, and the South is basically like the little kid that's hanging on our legs that's keeping us behind. And so they're now on two different ways of building income, and now you have a civil war. Of course, everyone knows that the North won, and so what Lincoln did is he sent monies down to the South to reconstruct, because majority of the Civil War was fought in the southern states. So in order to reconstruct, he did an olive branch to reconstruct your land, because we blew it up with bombs and all of that different type of stuff. Reconstruct, build back up your buildings, employ people. A lot of money went to black people. So it was during the Reconstruction era that you had a lot of black millionaires. A lot. This is when you're seeing Madam C.J. Walker. You're seeing your entrepreneurs. You're seeing the flourish of, when you talk about South Carolina, you talk about Buford, Gullah. That's a seafood restaurant market. Oh, restaurants filled every day. Millionaires. This is a booming, everyone's segregated, but you could be able to hold political positions in office. So that's when you're seeing senators, you're seeing politicians, you're seeing millionaires, you're seeing the first historically black colleges. All of that is happening in your 1860s, late 1860s. And check this out. That's happening in your late 1860s. In Brazil, they were still in slavery. So while an African American was going to an HBCU, slavery didn't end in Brazil until after the 1900s. I think like 1909. Yeah. I like to show visually what's going on in the diaspora at the same time. So understand how quickly you have people being taught, educated, entrepreneur life is on a boom. Everything is going right for black people. And then lo and behold, 5 years after, some white dudes go into their court and say, we want to incorporate this new group of brotherhood called the KKK. So the intentionality of, I'm going to continue to fight while y'all are doing your own thing. I want everyone in the diaspora to see how intentional it is. Because this is during not technically segregation, but it's basically like, because the segregation law didn't come yet, but it's basically like, if you stay over there, we'll stay over here type of lifestyle. And we were living our best life. And that's when that happened. So the Reconstruction era is literally what created Tulsa, the Black Bank, Black Wall Street. All of that was happening during the Reconstruction era in the South. All of that was happening. So I want you, so during that time, now you're having artists pop up and actually have the funding, because it was black funded, to perform and do all of these different things. Everything was supported by the black community. So I don't want anybody in the Liberation Academy to go out here in these streets and say black people don't support each other. No. It's already been done before. It's already been done before. I want everyone to look at the other side, have a little bit more empathy, and ask yourself, what are the intentional laws and things that are being created to always hinder situations? Because all of that was done. You wouldn't have Howard. You wouldn't have Hampton, South Carolina State, North Carolina A&T, Prairie A&M. You wouldn't have Clark, Morehouse, Spelman. All of those schools were created during those times. And so within the schools, now you have fraternities and sororities. You have step-in that's thriving. You have majorette dance, the black bands. So the musicianship that's being taught. Now those trumpet players are coming out of those black colleges. Those saxophone players are coming out. You're having all of that that's thriving. Your Langston Hughes, W.B. Du Bois, all of those people are being born during that time. If you read any of their books today, you would look at all of their English words like, what are you talking about? You have your Frederick Douglasses. Like, hold up, what? I didn't even know this English word existed. And yeah, that's how they were talking on a regular basis. This is your black life. And so that's just to give you a little background story. So now let's lift up some of the ancestors that, what with this culture bubbling and thriving like this, now you have people that cut through so much and innovated in a way that superseded what people were doing on a normal basis. And let's start off with Master Juba himself.
Here too are lanes and alleys paved with mud knee-deep, underground chambers where they dance and game. The fiddler and his friend, who plays the tambourine, are marshaled by a lively young Negro who is the greatest dancer known. Single shuffle, double shuffle, cut and cross cut, turning in his knees, presenting the backs of his legs in front, spinning about on his toes and heels like nothing but the man's fingers on the tambourine, dancing with 2 left legs, 2 right legs, 2 wooden legs, 2 wire legs, 2 spring legs, all sorts of legs and no legs. He finishes by leaping gloriously on the bar counter and calling for something to drink.
So people say, okay, Kara, what's special about Master Juba? Okay, Juba's going on. Where Juba with hand percussion, using your body percussion. It's now where this particular person actually competed with what would be now today Irish dancing, the tap dancing that the Irish, he actually competed with, went toe to toe with the white man and beat him at his own game with the tap shoes. So that's why he, Master Juba, was the person that they accredit as being the first tap dancer, what would be known as tap that we know today. Because before, it was just body percussion. And then the cadences that we would create through hand and hitting the body and clap patterns and with the feet. But now that you have these taps on the bottom of your shoe and you have a culture that already has their folklore and you're taking what they're doing and applying it in a West African sense, and then y'all compete, his name was known all over. So that's what he did to break through. Let's go to another ancestor. One of the first West African teachers in the United States was from Sierra Leone, Asadata Dafora. This piece actually made it all the way to Alvin Ailey. This is like a traditional piece called Ostrich that Alvin Ailey even recreated. But this is the first touch of a West African creating a dance company all the way back in the 1900s in the United States. So now you have Josephine Baker. This is the Charleston people. This is how all of this jazz is supposed to look. This is the origins of jazz. Not the toe pointed creating lines version. Keep repeating this over and over. This is the beginning of jazz dance. Very, very West African, isn't it? And so now, to end it all, the lady that gleaned off of all of these different styles and influenced so many.
It's gone down and again and frozen.
Ah, this is getting my vibe. All right, try it one more time.
The spell is broken as her lover intervenes to rescue La Luce from the powers of evil. The climax comes with the celebrated Agia, the fighting dance of Martinique.
So, and with as we're lifting up these ancestors, you look at, I just gave you a couple people, or more than a couple people. But those people transformed more than one generation. We're now in 2023. I let you see Ostrich Piece to show you that something that was created in the 1900s is still being done on one of the premier black companies to this day. Another thing that I want to show is that last woman, Catherine Dunham. You may have a situation where you may not necessarily have your company boom where you're making all of this money, because success is based off of like either how much clout you have visually or how much money you have in your pocket. But no, it's how many people's lives you affect. And so let me just show you one example through Catherine Dunham. So if I show you this picture, right now, and we're coming to the end. It's one of the famous Catherine Dunham pictures. Okay? This man here is Laji Kamara.
Hmm. Pavalai, Raji Kamara.
Okay? So Laji Kamara, where he is from, is one of the premier djembe folas from his dance companies. And so here, this African American woman hires this Guinean drummer to be a part of her company in the United States. He starts to live in the United States. And what do you think is happening? He's teaching djembe. So now you're having people learning how to play djembe even all the way back then. Now you have people that's carrying and remembering culture through songs, through dances, being taught rhythms, while he's also attending rehearsals for the Catherine Dunham Dance Company. Now, this one woman opens a school and she has a lot of students, yes, but there are particular students, just a couple, that end up doing their own generational changing. One of those students, Marlon Brando. Another one of those students, Eartha Kitt. Another one of those students would be a young boy named JoJo Samuels, or JoJo Smith, I'm sorry, JoJo Smith. And he would later, with his wife, open up a dance studio in New York, which is now called the Broadway Dance Center, one of the premier dance centers in New York City. But he would be the movement coach for, what's the guy with the Saturday Night Fever? He would be the movement coach for a lot of different 1960s films. And he would also be the premier teacher of the Debbie Allen. So a little boy under Catherine Dunham that's watching her would now become a famous jazz teacher, would now open up a studio called JoJo's Dance Factory, which would later become Broadway Dance Center. One of his students, he would have a couple students, his wife, Sue Samuels, who still teaches at Broadway Dance Center to this day, and Debbie Allen, two of his main students.
Also, Alvin Ailey. Alvin Ailey.
Oh, Alvin Ailey learned directly from Catherine Dunham. So it's just one person. Just one person. Oh, and also, Logic Commodore was one of her percussionists. She had many percussionists. Another percussionist that changed the game, his name is, because he's still alive, Morcham. Oh, Morcham is whose father? Akon. So here, Morcham now lives in St. Louis. So Akon was raised in St. Louis. Then they moved to the tri-state.
Kara, I actually Willy's dad also played for her too.
Say it again?
Willy's papa from Ghana.
Yes.
Actually played. Yeah, he played with Captain Ghana too.
So here is my point: is here's just one woman bringing in percussionists, bringing in dancers. She has a school. She's training people, and it's just like dum da dum da dum. But some of those people are actually going out doing transformative work for generations to come. Generations upon generations to come. So, in culmination of starting from the continent, going to what was fought in the United States, what we still have to fight through in order to keep art alive, I want you to always remember that Oh my gosh, there is no lostness ever. There's very much specificity and art and society. That's why we struggle with it in our head today. It's not a separation. You don't necessarily have to make a career out of it, but I don't want you to ever question or try to cut off your blood supply. That's your blood. That is your blood supply. And if you try to do it, you're going to end up hurting yourself. Once again, this is not about what you deem to be successful, what you deem to be career driven. No, 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 no. I'm talking about something greater. I'm talking about life force, essence, DNA, something that is deeply scientific. You cannot stop that because it's going to flow how it's going to flow. Now we have 10 minutes left. Do you have any thoughts, questions? I am done with the first part of Sankofa, looking back, all of that good stuff. I hope you felt my heart. I'm very passionate about this because I have to do the work of combating with my young black boys and girls the feeling of them being and feeling lost, the feeling of them not feeling within themselves that they have an identity. And I have done and will continue to do the work to do my research and my due diligence to make sure that they know, no, sweetie, you may not know specifically the ethnic group by which you come from, but I can give you this very specific knowledge that, interestingly enough, it's come full circle to this day. I'll share this one thing that I actually shared recently. Harry Belafonte's daughter, Gina Belafonte, I did a workshop for one of her events recently. And she's going to be working with me on a couple of different projects. And I was very happy to share with her. She didn't know the extent of what her father did for starting the first ballet for Guinea, and even what Harry Belafonte did for the promotion of the djembe, because many people do not know that Harry Belafonte did a PBS special and discovered the person who would literally make the djembe the most popular African instrument on this earth, Mamadi Keita. Mamadi Keita was discovered by Harry Belafonte when he was creating a dance company with the president of Guinea at that time, Sekou Touré. It was Harry Belafonte that were hiring musicians and dancers with Sekou. And Mamadi was a teenager, and he said, "You." And here, Mamadi Keita would literally be the person that would be the leading face of djembe all over the world. And it's through, I had to tell Gina, it's through your dad,
So
Mr. Harry Belafonte.
you people who don't know Mama Dikiti, I came to Mama Dikita's house too. Well, grow up at Mama Dikita's house. He's not my father, but it's like a father to me. I grew
Yes.
up right there at his house. I was one of those produce. That's Harry Belafonte. I'm gonna call it like that.
Yep. And notice the last name. Remember I said the last name? His name is Mamadi Keita.
Ah,
The
sí,
king. Yeah.
sí.
So
So
now
many of
you'll be
them.
able to make the connection. You know, whenever you see a Keita, when you see a Bangura, if one of your teachers Mustafa Bangura, you'll be like, ah, Black Panther. That's your
Eh,
animal.
ca- eh, can I have the name of the percussionist, Camara?
Laji, first name
How?
Laji, Ladji, and last name
Okay.
Kamara,
Yeah.
Camara.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So now share away. We have a few minutes. What are your thoughts? How do you feel? Y'all went into breakout rooms once, but I want to know how you feel. Just press the unmute button. I don't care. Go do your thing.
Before you move on, can I say something to everybody over there?
Yes,
So,
Bongo.
people, I want to let you guys know this is something very special you just get from Kara today. These are the things that a lot of people don't know about our people. You know what I mean? And it's not sharing also, at least like you connect with people like Kara, like myself, who have like a deep insight about our people, who care about our people, who want to share this culture, this in the art form that we believe in, that we can really make it different. So this is very special. I just wanted to say thank you, Kara. Thank you, and 100 mil, like that 1,000 times thank you to you for sharing this. People need to hear this. Like definitely, people take advantage of this. Okay, be creative with this. Saluta. That's all.
Thank you, Bongo. No, I really appreciate because Bongo, he's this West African Ghanaian. I need to be chastened and corrected by people like him. So the fact that he's publicly acknowledging, like, okay, you hit it right on the head, that makes me feel good inside. Catherine, I want the Jim Crow laws. Yes, with Jim Crow, I stopped at Reconstruction era. So remember, I said entrepreneurship on 1,000, millionaires on 1,000, politicians representing their communities on 1,000. Notice that the Jim Crow era didn't come until 1965. So that's what I want you guys. It's not a match. It's not. Don't put Civil War, Jim Crow. No, 1865, 1965. That's what, and with history, I want to make sure that people understand that time. So, how many years? Hello? Do y'all got me? Thumbs up if you hear me. All right. So, how many years in between is that? How many years are people cultivating wealth? How many years people are raising up institutions of education? How many years is all of that happening? So then that's why they had enough time to cultivate federal laws to stop that. Now I can write it on the books because I've been peeping y'all game. We don't want that to happen anymore. So I want everyone, you may not be interested in like reading everything, but just pay attention to dates. Just dates that pop up. And then you'll begin to see like, oh, Congo Square that's been happening for a long time. So artistically and musically, before they had any time to write a law down to stop it, those conversations artistically had been happening for a while. So they had all of that communication within their bodies to now make it a African American tradition. Now the laws are coming up. Everyone understand? Now you're having situations come up, but now it's basically a tradition. All right, we have
I
3 minutes. Yes.
I want to say thank you so much for your passion on and for the service also to be aware about the story and how re, um, said again and talk to the people again and for me it's really helpful because I feel it is still happening. We are the African movement writing the story and in some way to us living the resilience of the art, not as an entertainment, as a way to preserve the values of the life. So for me, this connection between art and life as the blood of the life It mm, mm, gives so much deep connection why I am an artist, and it's more than be really professional or not. I think it's really an act of liberation for your spirit, and I think this is one of the beautiful things that I can feel how many years we are really putting our actions in the things that really is meaning for me. In my case, as an immigrant woman, I just can understand that art and continue dancing is my way to be resilient right now. Not because I am a black woman, because I am in a dictatorial regimen, and Venezuela is completely in the oppressive of the dictatorial regimen right now. And in some way, we are using art for liberate my spirit, and I understand that I can keep going. Doesn't matter if I am in another country or not. And so many similarities between the Afro Venezuelan culture with all these things that you've been sharing about these people, and also how this art is continue evolving to just survive in the new geography environments. So thank you so much. It's really beautiful and passionate, and bring a lot of sense about who I am. So thank you so much.
No, thank you for sharing. I love that. And so even with the next one, as we move forward and talk about Jim Crow and talk about now we're in the 60s, and then we're going to talk about now as a diaspora, we're using art to communicate to each other. We're talking to people in Cuba. We're talking to people back in the continent. You have presidents that's being liberated in Francophone West African countries, and they're now hiring Alvin Ailey to perform Revelations in Senegal. All of that was happening in the 60s. We're now, as artists in the diaspora, that was now a bubbling age of now we're communicating to each other because now we pledge allegiance to different countries and we now actually have to break through the language barrier because now I speak French, now I speak Spanish, now I speak English, now I speak all of these different languages. How am I going to be able to communicate back to you? And you look like my cousin. You look like my mom. You look like my auntie. And I really want to talk to you. I really want to have this conversation and share with you what's been going on in where I am. How can I do that? Back to your DNA. Art. Art. So now, as Africans, you're looking at contemporary dancers in America. Now it's Afro contemporary. Now it's Afro jazz. Now it's, oh, y'all doing Dunham technique from Catherine Dunham? We're going to do Dunham. Do you understand? So now all of these things are happening. Please make sure that you listen to my daughter act crazy in the background and write
The
down your
culture
thoughts.
exchange.
Be well. Love you
Revolutionary.
guys a lot. And please make sure that you write in your notebook all of your thoughts and inspirations. And I will see you next